And it's funny how there are people who are doing there are people in the book space and they're doing multiple things, and you don't really know that they're behind something that you see until you find out. So there is a page on Facebook called Black Fiction Addiction that has a lot of followers, thousands of followers. And so I reached out to the administrator, who I didn't know who it was, and sent an email about being on the show. I wanted to hear uh, from them on how they built it and what their focus was. And then I come to find out that Chandra Sparks Splond is the brainchild behind Black Fiction Addiction. I had no idea. And she's been on the show before. It's been about, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe, when she was on the show, because I didn't look up the exact date. But I did know Chandra was the person, the curator, so to speak, for Black Fiction Addiction. And then I found out and I said, wow, well, it's like people don't know necessarily that I'm the coordinator of the festival, or vice versa, with different all these different roles I play. I wear a lot of hats. So, but that's what it takes. So anyway, Chandra, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for having me. It's great to see you all again.
Thank you again for
Yeah,
being here.
Yes.
yeah. Now, when did you start Black Fiction Addiction, or when did you? I love the name; it's really catchy. Um,
Thank you.
but when did you decide I'm gonna start this group or page or whatever you call it? What do you community? When did you decide you were gonna do? What made you like have an epiphany that you were gonna do this?
Well, it's really interesting when I actually had the idea 5 years before I started it. Like, I very obviously love all things Black books. And I had been just looking for a space where, I could share book recommendations and talk about Black books and give indie authors some love. Um, but I was so scared to step out on faith and do it. And then one day, matter of fact, December 21st, 2019, I woke up that morning. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop playing and I'm just going to put it out there. I was like, hopefully I'll get about, if I could get 1,000 people, like that'll be amazing. And here we are 7 years, like almost 7 years later, and I have about 10,000 followers on Instagram now. Um, so I don't, the lesson in that is to not let fear stop you. Just take one step at a time, and you never know what'll happen, how you can be a blessing and how you can be blessed.
You're right. That is so true. You know,
Yeah.
one this happened before the show, so I'm gonna say maybe a year before the show. I did a live Facebook on my 20 top books of all time.
Okay.
And after I did it, one of my good friends said, Gwen, you need to do something like that all the time. You need to do so Facebook Live or something about books. And I said, well, how can I, I'm a business person. So I'm like, how can I make it make money? How can I make it work to make it worth my time? Because otherwise it's taken away from other things I'm doing. But
Right.
I didn't think anything more about it. And then COVID hit, and then we couldn't do the festival. We couldn't do the National Black Book Festival. We couldn't do anything. And then I said, you know what? This is a time when I can do something with books. So it's a lot of time. It's a seed that gets planted, or it's a thought, and it germinates. Like seeds germinate, and then they break through the soil, and then voila, you have a major thing.
Yeah.
So now
And
when
that's
you
so true.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I was waiting for the perfect moment. Like I already
Yeah.
had the logo made. I already had the beginnings of a website. So all the pieces were in place. I was just like, it just needs to be perfect. But no, I just needed to start it. So
Yeah, and who decides what perfect is anyway? You know,
absolutely.
a
Well,
lot of
we
times.
we obviously don't choose when perfect is, because it could be the perfect moment and we don't know when it's perfect. Because
Yes.
people keep saying, I'm waiting for the stars to align, well, for the planets to align, and everything has to be just right. And it'll all be just right. No, this still isn't the perfect time because I don't have the logo exactly just right. Or
Yes.
no, I can't do it yet because see, the algorithm isn't exactly right. You know, we'll always find a reason for it to not be the perfect moment. So
Right.
we just need to do it sometimes. We gotta do
Yes.
it scared, we gotta do it ugly, we gotta do it nervous, and then everything will align after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can talk yourself into things and you can talk yourself out of things.
Yes.
Yes. You
You
know,
really can. Yeah.
Tell us how you actually went about getting it started. What did you actually do?
Well, I knew that I wanted to spotlight Black books and do like a book of the day kind of deal. Just highlighting whatever book, was on my radar at the moment. So that's what I did. I just started posting a book of the day spotlight. And then from there, it evolved to me doing blog interviews. So, once or twice a week, I'll interview a Black author about either their most recent release or just their catalog, and it kind of evolved from there, with indie authors reaching out, publishers reaching out, trying to get exposure, and it's grown from there, and it's been such a blessing for me, because clearly I'm addicted to Black books. Um, and just to be able to share them with other people is exciting. I think most of us who are readers, we wait for that moment where someone asks, "Oh, do you have what book do you recommend I read?" And to have these recommendations at the ready is just always it's exciting but nerve-wracking too, because there's always, well, what if they don't like this book? But there's so many books that exist. I mean, of all the books I've shared over the years, I'm sure people have found at least one that they've liked. And that's the whole point.
well, today, in today's environment, we are really fortunate in that we have a lot of choices.
Yes.
We have more choices in books being released and from major publishers, independently, hybrid, whatever, more than ever in the history of America.
Yes.
It's more Black books being published in some way or form.
Right.
And self-publishing now is so easy that now it's easy, but it still needs to be done right.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
it's so easy now, whereas 20 years ago, it was not at all.
No, folks had attics or basements or garages full of books.
Right.
And you don't have to do that anymore,
No.
Yes.
Mhm.
So how do you choose your books? Do you do a voting panel or do people submit to you?
No, it's really just based on books that I've either personally read. A lot of times, like I said, publishers or authors will reach out to me, and if I think it'll be a good fit for, my audience, then I'll spotlight it. Um, a lot of times, I'll see stuff that I'm interested in reading at some point, and I'll go ahead and share it with readers for them to go ahead and check out. So.
Now, how did you come up with the name?
I wanted something catchy, and
Okay.
I'm like,
It's catchy.
yeah, I knew I wanted to focus on Black fiction. I'm like
Okay.
what would be something kind of cool to go with that? And then just playing around with ideas and addiction kind of came. I'm like, oh yeah, I really like that because I'm absolutely addicted to Black books. So it was just a perfect fit.
Okay. Now, how often do you post books now?
Typically, I post every day. The last 2 weeks, though, I've kind of taken a break. Life has been life, and so I kind of stepped back for a minute. But I'm gonna pick back up in the next week or so and get back on track. But yeah, it's every day for the book spotlights, and then once or twice a week, I'll do a book interview. well, an author interview, and they'll, talk about their latest release for the most part.
So are your interviews live?
No, they're actually just blog posts,
Okay.
and
Oh, okay. So
so
it's like a Q and
it's
A.
just a written. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, now, how do you build it? Like, how did you get to the 10,000? What did you do to raise your numbers?
consistently post. That's
Okay.
literally it.
Okay.
Consistently post. And then, I'll spotlight a book, and maybe the person whose book is being spotlighted will share their readers, and then people will come check out the page and be like, oh, like, she's consistently posting about Black books. Let me check it out. And then followers just kind of came from there. Uh,
So
So
it really
how,
is making sure, well, I'm maybe not making sure, but the key is that people were sharing.
yes, absolutely.
yeah, and the consistency that you put out there
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
because
I also noticed because I've been a follower of your page for quite some time as well. Um,
Thank you.
you have kind of a little grid going on with your page.
I
It's
do.
very planned page. Things aren't just thrown on there all willy-nilly.
Yeah. So I wanted the page to be aesthetically pleasing. So I definitely did that. You'll see like a book, and then it'll be some kind of book related quote, or, maybe I have book spotlights, or I do a weekly new releases one roundup. So just making sure that they follow that pattern. I just like the way it looks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now did
I
you
love
ever
watching. I love looking at pages that actually have a bit of a grid to them. I tried doing that with my page, but I was doing it for a while too. It was cute. It was like a little checkerboard going on, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm too busy."
Mhm. It can be overwhelming at times because, some days I'm like, oh, I just want to put this up. And I'm like, oh man, I can't because it
Yeah,
doesn't follow the pattern. So I got to figure out how to make it work. But
yeah. It was good when I had my social media assistant helping me, but
mhm,
since I don't have my social media assistant helping me with it anymore, I said I'm just gonna have to go for what I know until I can get my assistant back. So uh,
yeah,
I'm putting it on there. And then when I can get back to having my assistant again, then I might go back to my little checkerboard. But right now, y'all just gonna have to get my greatness when I put it out there for y'all.
absolutely. At the end of the day, and plus, I mean, yeah, if they come to the page, they see it, but if it just shows up on their timeline or something, they have no idea.
I
So, I
said
mean, I think they just appreciate knowing that the content exists.
you're still giving them the greatness and a nice pattern. They'll get it.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. Now you're still writing books?
I am. It's been a couple of years since I published one. Um, but the ideas are still percolating. I have a few drafts that I need to go back and clean up. So prayerfully, a new one will be coming soon. So
Now do you write romance exclusively or
no,
what
I do young
genres are
adult
you?
fiction. That's my
Oh, young adult
primary
fiction.
focus.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't realize that. I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought you would. So have you ever written romance?
I have not. I used to be a romance book editor though. So I used
Okay.
to be the editor
Somehow I got you.
for for Arabesque, BT Books Arabesque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well that now so how did you get that position? Like what led you down this book path?
So I always knew that I wanted to work. I wanted to do something with books. When I was a kid, I've mentioned before, I loved reading, and I just figured at some point I would write books. But when I got ready to go off to college, my mom asked me what I wanted to do with my life. When I told her that I wanted to write books, she was like, authors don't make any money. You need to find a career to fall back on. So I ended up majoring in journalism, and I found that I didn't like it because the writing style was too structured for me. And then my senior year of college, I ended up taking a class in copy editing. And for those of you who may not be aware, copy editing is a story's grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And I found that not only did I like it, I was really good at it. And like growing up, like I would always correct people, and and I didn't know that that was actually a career. So when I found that out, I'm like, yes, this is it. And after that happened, after I took that class, I actually ended up getting offered a job in New York. So I moved to New York from Alabama. 2 weeks after I graduated, I was part of a minority editorial training program. So it was a 2-year program where you learned how to edit for newspapers. So I worked in newspapers for a few years. Once that happened, I'm like, I still want to do something with books. Like, how can I make that happen? I'm like, I need to learn to edit longer pieces of copy. So I decided I wanted to like explore working in magazines to get used to editing longer content. And I applied and got a job at Good Housekeeping magazine. So I worked there for about 4 years. And during that time is when like Black romance started becoming really popular. So I
Mhm.
started doing freelance editing for Arabesque as well as for Indigo Books, which was based out of Mississippi back in the day. So I was
Okay.
doing free, and eventually I ended up getting offered a job to be the consulting editor for BET Books Arabesque. So that's how I made my foray
Oh,
into book publishing.
okay. Well, you had a circuitous route.
I
Um,
did.
and but a lot of times that's how we end up places.
Yeah,
Um, it's
absolutely.
not a straight line.
I
It's
found
not. It's
this
not.
hard thing about being a copy editor because I'm a copy editor as well, and I've done journalistic copy editing
Mm-hmm.
and literary copy editing. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem with it is so hard to turn it off in your head. So
It absolutely is.
you're
Yes.
reading and you're just trying to read for fun, but your mind
Mm-hmm.
while you're reading.
Yes.
I don't want to copy edit right now. I just want to read.
Right, right. I just want to enjoy the book. Yes,
And you're like
absolutely.
sentence structure in your mind. Your mind will
Yes,
not let you get past the sentence until you fix it.
yes,
You
yes.
can't give that up because I did copy editing. I copy edited for urban books for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I wasn't employed. It was freelancing, but
Hmm.
um, but I've always edited. Like I, I'm I'm an avid reader from childhood too, and when I
Hmm.
read, I edit. Even like at church, when they have the screen with the announcements, I can see a wrong word like immediately. It just jumps out.
Yes,
Um,
same.
Anything I'm looking at on TV, sometimes the Chiron when they have a news flash, and they'll have misspelled words or wrong words in the Chiron scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Mhm.
And when I point it out to people, it surprises me that I'm the only one that sees
Right. And I do it with
it.
text messages too. Like I totally have to train myself to like not I still do it with my daughter. Like she'll send me a text and like if something is spelled wrong or used incorrectly, I'll have a little asterisk with what actually is supposed to be.
Some of
So
them
but
I
I
can't
try
even
and turn it
read.
off with everybody else. But I
Yeah,
mean it's just
it's
part
hard.
of who I am.
It's hard. It's hard for me to read some text. Not that people send me, but like text that I'll read, like they'll have text on a news story or
Mm-hmm.
just on something where somebody is showing on social media a thread, and I'm like, what are they saying? And then the
Right, right.
emojis, I don't
Yes.
even understand. It took me a while to understand what the eggplant emoji meant. Um, to find that out. So sometimes you're scared to ask because you don't
Right.
want to necessarily know, and then you really don't want to seem disconnected.
Reminds me of the comedian.
Right.
His grandmother asked him, "What does LOL mean?"
That's
And it means lean on the Lord.
a good substitute.
It
That's
is.
sometimes some things you need to. Where it's yeah, even with hashtags. people
Mm-hmm.
when hashtags first became a thing. Um,
Yes.
People would say, well, "What is a hashtag?" And you have to try to explain. It could be several things. It could you be you emphasizing something. It can actually be a hashtag where people are following the hashtag, or
Right.
it could be any number of things. So that was something. Um, we have to learn, and we have to kind of roll with this culture.
We do.
There's some things that I don't want to be involved in, and so I just leave it alone. But some of the flashpoints, I still need to stay up with what the trends are, the
Yes.
overall arching trends,
Right.
not necessarily every detail of the minutia. So, so
Absolutely.
we've all done copy editing. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
Because it is a side of the brain. It's it's not creative at all.
No.
It's the
No.
opposite of creative. It's more
Mhm.
regimented, but it's
Yes, it is.
necessary because if I read a book that hasn't been edited, I'm not going to get very far because I feel like the person is really insulting me by not investing in some ed. Every book needs to be edited.
well,
Absolutely.
I just posted a Substack article a couple days ago, and the title of it is 10 most common mistakes I've found in manuscripts, because I've read and edited quite a few manuscripts over the past couple of years. And I decided to just kind of write down all of the common mistakes that I found, which ranged from spelling mistakes all the way to AI junk that's been left in manuscripts.
Oh wow.
Um, and
Yeah.
I've just made a list of all of those. And part of what I said was, before it ever even hits an editor's desk, you have got to make sure that you are at least reading through your manuscript and
Yes.
Yes.
before it gets sent to us. An editor should never see your first draft.
Right.
Yeah. This is true. And even though I edit other people's work, when I do a book, what I do is I read through it, then I send it to my editor. Then when the rec, and it's things that you miss, little things, because you're
Absolutely.
too close. It's too personal. You're too
Yeah,
close
and your
to it.
eye, your brain reads what
It's
it thinks
over it.
is
Yeah,
supposed to be there.
it's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
you think is what you know is supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then when she sends it back and I make the corrections, I uh I read it again all the way
Hmm.
cover to cover
Yeah.
after the corrections are made. And then I still find something. Um,
Right.
some of it may be a correction that she gave me that I didn't make, but some of it is a correction that she didn't catch. Because
Hmm.
not every editor catches every single mistake. It's not like 100%. It
I
might be
mean, no,
98%.
I mean we're human.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I
So
mean
you need
mistake.
to read it multiple. You need your stuff to be read many, many times,
Yeah,
not just by you, by a third party that has no emotional attachment to it.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chandra, what do you have coming up for Black Fiction Addiction?
Well, we're gonna keep on sharing the book of the day spotlights. We have some exciting interviews coming up. I have stuff scheduled through the summer, so I'm excited to share some of the new releases that'll be coming out soon. And we're just gonna keep celebrating Black authors.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned new releases. Let's say an author has a book that's maybe 5 years, 7 years old, 8 years old. Do you feature some of those books, or does it have to be a book that's been recently released in, let's say, the last year, 2 years, three
No,
years?
I feature old books as well. So, authors can feel free to reach out to me if they have an older book, one of their backlist titles or whatever the case may be. I'm happy if I think it'll be a good fit for our audience, then I'm happy to promote it and share it. I don't do a whole lot of urban fiction. It's mainly mainstream. I do romance, science fiction, a lot of other genres.
Now,
Um,
I do have to ask you though, because some people have different definitions, personal definitions of what
mhm.
fiction is. Some people think urban fiction is just Black fiction. Some people think
No, absolutely not.
so.
No.
That's why I want to ask you, what is urban fiction to you?
For me, I consider urban fiction, I mean, hood books, you know, the drug dealers, gang bangers, all that kind of stuff, sex, drugs, that kind of stuff. So,
Oh, that's what I
yeah.
think. But some people, some I had to ask.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. There are a whole lot of people now who, when you say urban, they just instantly think it means any black book, which is
Right.
ridiculous. So
Yeah,
thank
it's
you for.
oh, she froze. But that reminds me of, and I haven't been in Barnes and Nobles in a while, but the local Barnes and Nobles used to have one uh area where all the black books were, and I think they labeled it urban fiction. And it wasn't there. Some of the books weren't even fiction; they were nonfiction. It was just black. It was like, they had T.D. Jakes in there. They had, Walter Mosley. That's not urban, you
Or
know.
they would put all of the black books in one section, and then you would have inspirational fiction or inspirational books next to something like this bitch got roaches.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
true. It's so insulting.
it
It's
is.
it's really it's so stereotyped. Um, as if it's by a black person, it has to be the same. There's no differentiation. And there's so many different genres, and we're represented in all of them. Uh, because every year at the festival, we have no less than 20 genres represented. No less than 20. And most of the time people are just amazed that many black people are writing books. When they walk in the door, they
Mhm.
see it, and they just, don't didn't know it. They just, it's like we're invisible to a certain extent,
Exactly.
so I think we lost Chandra,
Yeah,
but
she's gone now.
it was her time was almost up. And she if you get an opportunity to follow Black Fiction Addiction on Facebook or Instagram, do so, because Chandra is keeping everybody up to date and aware of new releases or just Black fiction in general. And she's able to do it almost daily, she said. So that's a lot of books she's covering.
I'm gonna have to send her all my books and like, hey, look, promote
Well,
that.
that was my thought. That was my thought. So we're like minded. Our brains normally do kind of go in a similar direction. So so she came back. Let me just say good night to her, and then we'll bring our last guest on. So Chandra, we lost you. You
Plus, if,
froze, and
if you
then we
come back,
lost you.
all you had to do was say so.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have no clue what happened. I switched over to my phone to see if that would give me a better um area. I mean, reception.
Oh, that's
So,
okay. And we were just talking about how books can be featured on Black Fiction Addiction, and I was just going to ask if there was a cost attached to it or what people need to do to submit. Should they email you? Should they DM you? What is the process for getting featured?
well, thank you for asking. First, there is absolutely no cost to be featured either on the social media platform or on my blog. If people are interested, they can reach out to me. They can DM me on any of the social media platforms, and they can also email blackfictionaddiction@gmail.com.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we were at the end of our time anyway, but I'm glad you were able to come back and let people know that. So
Yes.
if you want your books to be featured on Black Fiction Addiction, DM or email Chandra, and she will respond. She does respond to her emails.
Yeah.
So So have a great night, Chandra. We'll
Well,
see you
thank you.
soon.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Have a good evening.
You.
Okay. Bye-bye.